Even on calm days, your mind can run through worst-case scenarios as if preparing for a storm. This mental rehearsal isn't random worry. It's your brain's way of anticipating threats, keeping you alert, and trying to protect you from harm. The downside is that these imagined disasters can drain energy, amplify stress, and make ordinary situations feel tense. Understanding why you mentally prepare for disaster reveals how the brain's protective instincts sometimes work against your peace of mind. Today, we will talk about why you mentally prepare for disaster. So before we start, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. 1. The brain's survival instinct. Mentally preparing for disaster is deeply rooted in the brain's survival instinct. From an evolutionary perspective, anticipating threats increased the chances of survival. Our ancestors needed to predict danger, whether from predators, environmental hazards, or rival groups, to respond quickly and effectively. This mental rehearsal of worst-case scenarios helped avoid harm and maximize safety. Today, the brain applies the same mechanism to modern challenges like work deadlines, financial stress, or social conflicts. Even though physical threats are rare, the brain treats abstract risks as urgent, triggering mental simulations of potential disasters. These mental exercises feel like preparation, giving a temporary sense of control. The subconscious interprets proactive worry as a form of protection, making it difficult to ignore. Understanding that this behavior is an evolutionary survival strategy explains why it feels automatic and persistent, even when logically unnecessary. Recognizing the origin of this instinct is the first step toward managing it effectively. 2. The role of anxiety and the amygdala. Anxiety and disaster preparation are tightly connected. The amygdala, the brain's emotional center, is highly sensitive to perceived threats. When a potential problem is detected, whether real or imagined, the amygdala activates, creating heightened alertness and stress. This triggers mental scenarios that simulate the worst-case outcomes. The prefrontal cortex tries to analyze solutions, but the emotional intensity from the amygdala often overrides rational thought. This results in vivid, emotionally charged disaster rehearsals in the mind. Over time, these rehearsals can become habitual, making it feel as though danger is always imminent. The combination of emotional reactivity and cognitive simulation explains why intelligent individuals often prepare extensively for unlikely disasters. They are unconsciously practicing risk management. Understanding this neurological interplay allows you to differentiate between helpful planning and excessive mental rehearsal that creates stress rather than solutions. 3. Cognitive biases that exaggerate risk. Several cognitive biases contribute to the tendency to mentally prepare for disaster. One is negativity bias, which causes the brain to focus more on potential losses than gains. Another is catastrophizing, where minor uncertainties are magnified into worst-case scenarios. Availability bias also plays a role. Vivid stories of accidents, failures, or crises in media or personal experience make the brain overestimate the likelihood of similar events. These biases create a distorted perception of risk, leading the mind to rehearse disasters repeatedly. Even when logical reasoning suggests the threat is minimal, emotional and cognitive processes continue to simulate outcomes. Recognizing these biases allows you to critically assess whether mental preparation is proportionate or excessive, helping reduce unnecessary stress while maintaining practical awareness. 4. The illusion of control. Mentally preparing for disaster creates a false sense of control. By imagining possible problems and rehearsing responses, the brain feels more capable of handling adversity. However, true control is limited to your actions, not external circumstances or other people's behavior. Despite this, the subconscious interprets rehearsal as protective, reinforcing the habit. Over time, this illusion of control can become addictive. Your mind continuously simulates potential crises to maintain a sense of security. While some foresight is valuable, excessive disaster preparation can generate stress, fatigue, and indecision. as the mind focuses more on what might go wrong than what can actually be managed. Recognizing the illusion of control is essential for breaking the cycle and redirecting mental energy toward actionable, productive solutions. 5. Anxiety loops and mental fatigue. Frequent mental preparation for disasters leads to cognitive overload and fatigue. The constant simulation of problems consumes mental energy, leaving fewer resources for creative thinking, problem solving, and daily tasks. Anxiety loops form when the brain repeatedly cycles through potential threats without resolution. Each rehearsal reinforces fear, increasing stress and hypervigilance. Even when a scenario is unlikely to occur, the brain reacts as if it were real, producing physiological symptoms like tension, restlessness, and disrupted sleep. Over time, these loops can impair focus, motivation, and emotional stability. Awareness of this pattern allows individuals to intervene by differentiating between realistic planning and excessive rehearsal, ultimately reducing mental exhaustion and emotional strain. 6. The role of past experiences. Personal history heavily influences disaster preparation tendencies. Traumatic experiences, failures, or highly stressful events teach the brain that certain situations are dangerous. The subconscious then overcompensates, anticipating similar outcomes in the future. Even minor uncertainties can trigger amplified mental rehearsals because the brain wants to avoid repeating past negative experiences. This conditioning reinforces anxiety and hypervigilance, making disaster preparation feel automatic and necessary. By reflecting on past experiences and identifying patterns of overpreparation, individuals can recognize when their mental simulations are disproportionate, allowing them to gradually reduce unnecessary worry. 7. The impact on decision-making. Mentally preparing for disasters affects decision-making by making the brain overly cautious. Potential risks are amplified while opportunities may be underestimated. This bias can lead to procrastination, indecision, or avoidance of challenges. Even intelligent, competent individuals may hesitate because the mental rehearsal of worst-case scenarios dominates rational analysis. While some consideration of potential pitfalls is helpful, excessive focus on hypothetical disasters prevents action and progress. Understanding the influence of disaster preparation on choices helps individuals create strategies to balance risk awareness with productive action. 8. Coping strategies for over-rehearsal. There are effective strategies to reduce excessive disaster preparation. Mindfulness and grounding techniques help anchor attention in the present, reducing unnecessary projection into hypothetical futures. Writing down fears and evaluating their likelihood can separate real risks from imagined ones. Limiting rumination by scheduling specific planning periods prevents continuous mental rehearsal. Cognitive reframing encourages seeing potential challenges as manageable rather than catastrophic. Gradual exposure to uncertainty without overplanning trains the brain to tolerate unpredictability. 9. Leveraging disaster preparation constructively. Disaster preparation can be useful when channeled appropriately. Strategic foresight, contingency planning, and risk management can reduce the impact of actual problems. The key is to focus on areas within personal control and create realistic, actionable plans instead of rehearsing every imaginable outcome. Constructive preparation involves assessing probabilities, prioritizing critical risks, and letting go of scenarios that cannot be influenced. If you liked this video and would like to see more like it, please give it the thumbs up, leave a comment, and click the button to subscribe.